looking at Exodus 14 today. Little public service announcement. If you ever write something and you don't want to say it out loud, never send it to Pastor David Amos, because you will end up doing it. Love you, David. All right. I got a question for you. Or I got a statement here. If you've been watching TV at all lately, you've heard the term new normal, right? We got all these experts running around, and they're talking about how things are going to be for the foreseeable future. The masks, the social distancing, where grandma can't even hold her own grandkids. We got all this stuff going on, right? We've even got states now that are saying they're going to extend this stuff through the summer. And it's understandable why people are a little bit upset about it. If you've watched TV, you've seen that too. They want their normal back. They want to be able to go to restaurants. They want to be able to go to church. They want to be able to do the things that they're supposed to do, that they do normally. And I get it. I completely understand. I don't necessarily understand the way they're going about it, but I understand their frustration. People just want pre-COVID normal back. But there is a normal I don't want to see. David has talked a few times about church members that go to church once every 6 weeks. That was pre-COVID normal. What about Bible reading? What if I were to tell you that 35% of professing Christians read the Bible at least once a week? What if I were to tell you that 45% of professing Christians don't read the Bible at all? My friends, if you're getting all your Bible reading scrolling Facebook, that is not the answer. Prayer lives. 34% of Christians 50 and under claim to pray daily. If you look at Christians under 30, that number drops to 16%. This is a normal I don't want to see. But in this crisis, those Christians are watching 6 services a week. People are reading the Bible. I myself began to read the Bible page by page again to gain new insight. I haven't done that since I was a baby Christian. In prayer, people are praying. They may be praying with selfish motives, but they are praying. They are seeking for answers. So, I have a question for you. Why does it take a crisis for us to get serious about God? I know that sounds harsh, but if we look at the stats, they don't lie. I'm a math guy. Numbers don't lie. But really, let's go look at it. We want normalcy in our life. I would love to go get a steak at a restaurant sometime. I get it. And the Israelites had the same issue. They were in slavery for 430 years. This was 430 years of slavery. This was 430 years of abuse, 430 years of hardship, and 430 years of death. Egyptian captivity was really hard on the people, right? Lots of hard work, dawn to dusk. Beatings and mistreatment were the norm. And disobedience was met with the harshest of expectations. And not to mention, life was pretty cheap. They would kill just to kill. Look at how Moses escaped death in a basket in water. Life was cheap in Egypt as a slave. Then you get Moses. Moses comes after years of exile. He oversees a few plagues that God visits on the land. Totally decimates Egypt. They have never recovered from that. That's a little lesson about countries that turn their back on Israel. But that's a whole nother sermon. But the Israelites are free. No more slavery, no more death, and no more insanity. Or so you'd think. See, God has promised, delivered his people from all this stuff. But what happens after they leave and they run into their first crisis? Because Pharaoh's going to change his mind. He's going to chase people down, right? He wants his slaves back, or he at least wants them dead. So how do the Israelites react to the impending danger? So I'm going to read verses 10 through 12 here real quick. It said, when Pharaoh drew near to the people of Israel, lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians were marching after them. And they feared greatly. And the people of Israel cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, is this because there are no graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the wilderness? What have you done to us, bringing us out of Egypt? Is this not what we said to you in Egypt? Leave us alone that we may serve the Egyptians? For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness. Okay, and you say, wow. God just delivered them a few short weeks ago. Immediately, they're freaking out. A little something about faith there, right? When faced with crisis, they actually wish they were back in slavery. I'll never get that. They actually lament being free from bondage. They want their normal back. 400 years after 10 plagues, decades of death and abuse, and after they're delivered from all of this, crisis comes, and they want their normal back. Just like us, we want normal. Even if that normal might be a bad thing. I heard a few weeks ago this phrase. Sometimes when we feel afraid, we want what's familiar to us, even if what's familiar to us kills us. That's physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And you can say whatever you want about these precautions and this crisis, and whether you feel it's all worth it. That is open for debate. They've been debating it for weeks. But you can't debate the spiritual side of this. Because what's wrong with the Israelites here? What are they lacking? They're lacking faith. Many of us in this situation are lacking faith. The next words of Moses are going to point this out in bold letters. As he says this, and Moses said to the people, fear not, stand firm, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will work out for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you'll never see again. And the Lord will fight for you, and you have to only be silent. Moses gently told them to shut their mouths. I love it. Okay, so he implores them to have faith, be silent, watch God work. Where would our life be if we could have faith, keep our mouths closed for a few minutes, and watch God work in our lives? Just a thought. See, Moses understands the need for a new normal here. He knows that God has a plan. He's kind of been led into most of this plan. He also knows that the Israelites can't see this big picture yet. If you've ever been in charge of something, you got people that work for you, they can't see the big picture, and they complain about the little pieces. That's where Moses is sitting right now. He's the CEO in a sense. And the nice thing is, Moses does not see the normal that the Israelites know as an option. I personally long for a church that is tired of normal. I want a church that's tired of being half empty every Sunday morning. I want a church that's tired of watered down and powerless ministry and preaching. And I'm tired of a church that when their Christianity doesn't look a lot different from the world outside the church they preach in. I do see some encouraging signs here, though. People are reading again. It's nice to know that now people are starting to read the Bible. They're looking for answers. They are praying again. People are curious again because what the world is telling them doesn't line up with what's going on sometimes. People are searching for answers. They're even watching online services, 6 a week. Cool thing is, our views on YouTube have gone through the roof lately because people are looking for answers. Sometimes it takes a crisis to make us take stock of our lives and the situation we're in. Sometimes it takes a crisis to make us look at God for who He really is. When we can't solve it in our own strength, or our government can't solve it for us, we have no choice but to look to God and ask Him to serve it. But people are looking for answers. The Israelites, they were in a panic. Yeah, they were looking for an answer. Their answer may have been normal, but they were looking for an answer. And God provided that answer. Approximately 2 million Israelites walked through on dry land. To top it off, the army that's pursuing is crushed under the waters coming back. Now, if that ain't a miracle, I don't know what one is. God saw His people through this crisis. Israel was safe, and they worshiped God for who He was and what He had done for them. Are they going to panic again? Oh, yeah, they'll panic again. They'll run out of water. They'll do crazy things all over. If you look at them, that God is always answering their cries for help. If you don't believe me, just read Exodus. Israel is a spiritual mess, just like me and you. A lot can be learned about us from just reading about the Israelites. See, my prayer in my study has led me to believe that God runs a new normal for us. He's tired of the old normal too. And not the media version of the new normal with all the masks and stuff. Okay, maybe we need to do that, but that's not what God's talking about here. He's calling us to get serious about our faith again. We have a God that desires to have communion with His saints, and He would really appreciate it if we would join the conversation. We need a spiritual awakening. We need to take our time and our study seriously. We need to take our prayer lives seriously. And we need to take this relation seriously. Because if my relation with God is not correct, my relation with all you cannot be correct. Ask my wife, she can tell you. And as ministers, and we are all ministers, in your homes you are all ministers, you need to take your ministry seriously. The people that live in your homes, the people that are in your sphere of influence, you are ministers to. Minister seriously. You have a God that saved you from whatever, and if you aren't excited to tell other people about what He delivered you from, we need to talk. And see, I'm guilty as anyone. I'll be honest. Honesty here. I got so busy learning to be a pastor for the last year that I kind of put some stuff on the back burner. This little shutdown has kind of woke me up a little bit. I got so busy doing the job of ministry that I missed God's voice a lot of times. It can happen, even for us. So I'm asking the Lord to forgive me for losing sight of him, to refresh my soul, to open my eyes again, and to heal whatever issues he needs to heal inside of me. I hope that is your prayer too. Are we so devoted to what is familiar that we desire it more than our own lives? Are you afraid of the future? Not concerned. Are you fearful of the future? And have you been playing church? I could write a book on that one, by the way. See, does your Monday through Friday look a little bit different than what you say you believe on Sunday? If that happens, you're playing church, my friends. Okay? Studies show that people are searching again. And I have to believe that people in our own church are searching again. The faith might have gotten a little bit stale or cold, but this has woke you up a little bit. I'm praying that has happened. Are you one of those people? See, I got great news for you. I said good news here, but I mean great news. That God who saved Moses from the Israelites, that God that sent his son to die on that cross, by the way, he's not there anymore. And that Christ that rose 3 days later, he wants to help you through these crises as well. Yeah, he wants to help us in the physical one. He wants to keep us physically safe. But more importantly, I feel that Christ is worried about our spiritual crisis. Christ invites us to a new normal. Are you on board?